do that. But we have additional properties on there which are perfect for buy and hold. Maybe they don't have the spread for fix and flip, but I'll tell you what, they still have that 30 to 40% equity position day one. And normally people do not bid on these properties, so they go back to the bank. But heck, I mean, when you're buying something at $40,000 or $50,000 that's built in 2005 and it can rent out for that $850 a month, I mean, you can't get much more of a no-brainer situation than that.
It's better than letting your money sit in the bank, making 0.75 or 1.25% interest on it. And the best part about it is there's not a lot of risk that goes along with it. I mean, as long as the home is cleaned up and it's priced accordingly, to what the market is dictating. You should be able to get it rented out within the first 30 days. So to have those types of returns, to have Mike manage it for you so you don't have to worry about getting phone calls in the middle of the night or having a tenant calling you every 2 hours, Mike does all that. So essentially you just get your statement each month. It shows you the money coming in, the money going out. And at the end of the year, you're probably going to be pretty happy with your returns.
It works out good. Mike Green, do you have any other questions for the other Mike?
Yeah, actually, what as far as tenants go, are you seeing a lot of because Arizona is such a snowbird state? Are you seeing short-term leases, long-term leases? What are you typically seeing on a out of 10 renters? What would be a typical lease term?
Well, typically it's 1 year, and I'll allow the owner to determine whether they're willing to accept a lease term of less than a year. One of the things that I encourage investors to realize is the most significant cost that you will endure as a property owner is a vacancy. And so if you can minimize that in any way, from the lost rents perspective of what you don't get by having a vacancy, plus whatever else you might have to do to bring the property back in rent-ready condition, that's your biggest killer. So whatever we can do to avoid vacancies, and it's not just enough to sign a tenant to a 1-year lease or a 2-year lease. We have specific programs in place that we work very hard to keep tenants in there as long as possible. I know that's one of the things that sets us apart, but you look at a tenant and you say, what am I going to do to keep them in there? What are the things that I want to do to keep this tenant in there for 2 or 3 years? So
what do you do? Just padlock the outside of the front door?
No. Well,
how do you keep them in there? What do you?
I'm
just kidding.
A truckload of dirt.
Yeah, right.
I think that, there's different things. First is one of the reasons that when I get a lot of tenants, I always ask them, why are you moving? And one of the most frequent answers I get is, I live in a place right now that my property manager, when I have a problem, they don't call me back and they don't respond timely to what I do, what I need. And so for us, the very simple thing is asking yourself on a daily basis, am I treating this tenant like a 3-year tenant, or am I treating him like a 6-month tenant?
Right.
I mean, that's pretty basic.
Mike, one last question on the tenant issue is because I think tenants in California have more rights than active felons.
Agreed.
And so
Agreed.
I want to find out what, as an investor here in Arizona, what are tenant rights here? So let's say we got a bad apple for conversation purposes. Mm-hmm. What do we do there?
Well, as it turns out, I own investment property in California, so I understand the plight of everyone who in California that owns a rental property. You're right, tenants there do have a lot of rights. It's quite despicable if you ask me. But having said that, the difference is, I think, in Arizona, a lot of the power compared to California, for example, is given back to the landlord. So, for example, if you have a non-payer in Arizona, we can get them out in 30 days or less. So it's very easy to do that.
Impressive.
Yeah, the judicial process is a lot faster. And, of course, the fees, in my experience, the fees for attorneys' costs here are far less than they are in California. At least they're about half.
Is that because of that SB law that passed over here in Arizona? Oh, wait, that's a different show.
That is a different show. I would say in Arizona, it's very easy to get out a non-payer. There's ways that we, in terms of the rental process, will buffer against some tenants that might have, lower ability to pay, or if they're on the fringe. So there's different things that we can do there, but it is a lot better. And I would say most investors who have experience investing in other states, Arizona is usually a breath of fresh air to them compared to what they're used to.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, there's something I want to share with the listeners that are out there. I was on the National Association of Home Builders website, And they're talking about the current multifamily housing needs are actually up this quarter versus the quarter from 2009. And they're talking about that as these jobs start to come around and there's more people working, that there's going to be a huge demand, and even some markets there's going to be a shortage for these homes, for the multifamilies that are out there. So some of these apartment complexes. So the writing's on the wall. If you want to get in the game, get a hold of us at Arizona Investment Link, and we'll have you positioned for success in the future.
Yeah, not only do we go after single-family homes at auction, but we do go after condos and multifamilies, whether it's duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes. We do it all. So get a hold of us, 602-369-4663. And we come back, we're going to be talking with Mike Green with Green Rock Realty, our newest client at Arizona Investment Link. Stay tuned.
KFNN brings you the latest with this information update. KFNN News Time is 1:30.
Arizona News Radio. Senator John McCain leads the opposition in helping Republicans defeat a defense spending bill with the DREAM Act for illegal immigrants and a repeal of the military's Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy attached.
Why would the majority leader and the chairman want to bring up Don't Ask, Don't Tell, then the DREAM Act, then secret holds, and then reserve the rest of the issues for after we come back after the election?
But Democrats accuse McCain of being the one who was trying to further a political agenda. A tragic murder-suicide in Pinal County's Santan Valley. 4 shot, 3 dead, 2 adults and 2 children the victims.
At this point, we want to interview neighbors. We want to interview family members, see if there's a past history of domestic violence, see if anybody can shed any light on how this tragic event happened.
Tim Gaffney with the sheriff's office. A woman survived the shooting but is in very critical condition. Still not clear who fired the fatal shots. In Kingman, a 2.5-month-old girl dies after being left alone in a hot vehicle for 5 hours. The girl's 21-year-old father forgot she was in the car. Jeff Scott, Arizona News.
So if I'm thinking about quitting smoking or chewing, why should I call the Ash Line?
Well, first, the services cost people in Arizona absolutely nothing. You're going to get to work with a quit coach that knows all the frustrations of quitting. And medications for quitting are actually included with your coaching. Our number is really easy to remember. It's 1-800-5566-222. And did I mention it's all free? If you're thinking about quitting, you can quit, and we can help at www.ashline.org or call 1-800-5566-222.
Arizona Clean Elections gives every qualified candidate a chance to run and be heard. So why not hear from some qualified candidates all over the state? Rachel down in Green Valley.
I've always considered a run for office, and now I can.
Miguel up in Sedona.
Just got my 10th qualifying contribution.
Caroline from Holbrook.
Clean Elections is changing the face of politics.
Tim from Wickenburg.
It's how I was elected.
So Clean Elections really gives every qualified candidate a chance to run and be heard. Get involved at azcleanelections.gov. Clean Elections. Everybody wins.
Numbers are meaningless unless you get the underlying reasons for them. And here's where you get them. Financial News Radio, 1510 KFNN.
Arizona Investment Link is a proven real estate powerhouse specializing in foreclosure auction bidding services. There are several companies in the Valley that provide bidding services, but you will be hard-pressed to find a company that offers a seamless investment process from start to finish. Arizona Investment Link provides each investor with a list of homes available at auction and a breakdown of all costs associated with buying that home through close of escrow. That's title status, back taxes, selling title fees, and whether or not you'll be bidding on a first lien position.